The Shock Therapy Podcast.
It's that boom, boom, boom.
At that point, electric current is passed between the electrodes and the head.
That shit just kicked in. I just feel like I smoked 1,000 blunts.
For discovery brings with it the penalties of society. Shame, arrest, prison.
Oh, sorry, I was taking life seriously.
I'm over the end dangerous territory. It's a dangerous territory right here. I'm in.
I don't know what psychotic means, really.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Shock Therapy Podcast for Tuesday, August 25th, I believe. I'm your host, Carson McGregor, and I was not going to get political on this one. And I'm still not. Don't worry. If you immediately tune out when people start talking political nonsense, don't worry, that's not where this is going. That's not where I intend to go with this one. But the reason I say that is because I was thinking about it, and I always mention that at the top of the podcast or at some point in the podcast. I say, I'm not going to get political. I don't want to get political. Let's not do that. And then I just do. I just totally just stampede right through my own statement and let's say, fuck it, let's do it. Let's get political. Just some thought crosses my mind and that segues into another thought that segues into something, political. And I don't know, for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why I do that, because I'm not a super political guy. I mean, if you've heard or seen my podcast in the past, you know that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to that, when it comes to real issues. I really don't. So why would I bring it up so often? Why is that on the top of my, priorities list when it comes to podcast topics? Honestly, I think it's just because everything is political now. Everything has become politicized. Every place you go, place you shop, hobby that you participate in has become politicized, has been associated with some movement or party, and you have to decide how you feel about that. And it's fucking annoying. It's fucking annoying. I mean, no matter who you support, I'm coming at this I'm trying to come at this peacefully, no matter who you support, what your deal is, just live your life the way you want to live it. Honestly, just live your fucking life, man. I don't eat Chick-fil-A, right? I don't anymore. And I used to for a long time, knowing sort of that they're not super cool with gay people. I didn't know the details, but I knew that. And I just was like, fuck it, I don't care. It's just chicken. It's just eating fucking chicken sandwiches, whatever. And then talking with my sister about it, she kind of inadvertently convinced me. I think I might have talked about this last week, that she inadvertently convinced me to stop eating Chick-fil-A at some point. And that issue is something that I'll take seriously, because they've donated, they're a major company, and they've donated a ton of money to something that's obviously hateful and ridiculous. I just can't with a conscious mind, with a clean conscience, support that by buying their products, by giving them my money, because where you shop is political. So I don't do that. But outside of Mikey, the guy I do the Frat Chat podcast with, I'll trash him because he eats nothing but chicken sandwiches. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know how he's still alive and functioning. He literally only eats chicken. He doesn't like burgers. He doesn't like steak. He won't chow down on some meatloaf. He won't he's just only interested in eating fried chicken. It's kind of disgusting. If you ask me, I like fried chicken as much as the next guy. I like some nuggets. I like some tenders. I like all that shit. But eating it every single day, or nearly every single day, that just makes my fucking stomach turn. So I trash him for that sometimes, for why are you supporting Chick-fil-A, man? Why are you supporting that hate chicken? But I would never say that to just anybody. He's my best friend, so I say that to him just because it's I think it's funny to trash your best friend. It's funny to trash the people in your life that you love and care about. That's how I feel. But I wouldn't just trash a coworker. A coworker comes in, with a bag of Chick-fil-A. I'm not going to be like, what, do you support hate chicken? I'm not going to do that. Because I'm letting them live their life. I'm letting them do what they want to do. You know? I am not the information campaign. And it's not my job to be the information campaign. That is what pisses me off. Is that you're expected to, if you're quote-unquote woke about something, you're expected to tell everybody all the time about it. But nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. It's fucking annoying, you know? Like, I don't want that. I don't want, like, when I'm going to a laser tag arena to play some laser tag, and then on my way in, there's, like, people outside protesting. I'm trying to get into this laser tag arena, and they're like, are you really going to go in there? Are you really going to go in there? And I'm like, why? They say, did you know that laser tag arena, I don't know. I'm trying to even think of an issue that makes any sense. Doesn't support Syrian refugees? I don't know. Something like that. Okay. Just here to play laser tag, man. It's the closest laser tag arena to my home. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? You want me to drive 20 minutes in the opposite direction? Is that what you want from me? To burn all that gasoline? Cause all that wreckage to the environment? Do you even care about the environment? You're telling me to leave right now? I don't know. I mean, that's a terrible, terrible example. But that's what I'm trying to say, is that everything has gotten so fucking politicized, and you just can't, like, the most unnecessary boycotts ever. Like Goya. People boycotting Goya because they went and saw the president. They went and saw Trump. I think Trump's a dope. I think he's a fucking moron. I don't think he's good for the country. What do I give a fuck about Goya and what they think of the guy? You know? Are you gonna burn your MyPillow because the MyPillow guy supports Trump? He does. If you didn't know that, the MyPillow guy, big Trump guy, he's like super into him. So, if you have a MyPillow and then you learn about that, well, what are you gonna do now? Nothing. You're not gonna do shit because it's in your house and nobody can see it. You're like, well, I'm not gonna do. I mean, it's already here. I already, bought it, so whatever. I mean, people that burn their Nikes, that is stupid to burn your Nikes over the Colin Kaepernick thing. But still, like, at least they showed some gumption, At least they showed that they were committed to the bit. They were committed truly committed. If you're gonna burn your Nikes over something that ridiculous, That was stupid, man. That was people burning their Nikes because they stood with Colin Kaepernick. Like, are you fucking out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? In 6 months you're gonna want those Nikes. In 6 months you're gonna be like, man, like all this press is not really surrounding the issue anymore, and now I just don't have any Nikes. Like, I don't know. I think only people just want the validation for their ideas. It's not really that they believe in these things. They might. Let me take that back. They believe in the issues that they say they believe in, but not as much as it seems like they do based on their actions. Based on how much they fucking harass and attack other people for that behavior. You definitely don't care about it that much. You just want something to get upset about, and so that you can feel like you're righteous. You're the righteous person in the world. Like, you're solving all the problems. You're not doing shit. You're not doing anything. You're not making any real difference. You're not helping anybody. I think good people that care about an issue, they just help with that issue. You know, if you care about the environment, that's awesome. You know, and you go around driving a hybrid or an electric car because you think it's going to help the environment, and then you work for some like green type of group to plant trees and, you know, open up parks and do all that type of shit. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. But then if you walk up to somebody who's driving a big ass truck and you're like, you know, you're killing the environment, right? Like, who are you helping? And I don't think people that really put in the time and the effort into that type of like, you know, into giving of themselves that much really have the time or just the entitled mindset that it requires to call somebody out for that sort of thing. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I don't even know what I'm talking. I kind of got lost halfway through that, and I was trying to like find a good place to land, you know, and I just couldn't do it. So I just kept talking. I kept talking just nonsense, just totally unnecessary extra 5 minutes of that. You know, I kind of made my point early. That's the theme of this podcast, is I make my point in like a minute, and then I expound on that point for no reason for 10 minutes. That's what I do. That's my whole draw, is people that like having something over-explained to them by somebody with no knowledge and no experience. No, that's just like one of my big problems in the world right now, is that no matter what side of the political aisle you're on or what you believe about issues, like you feel so empowered in your own ability to change those things in your community by harassing people. I mentioned on this podcast before the term McCarthyism. McCarthyism is something that happened in the 50s, and it happened to it was not a political group. I don't think it was not like government endorsed in any way, I believe. I think it was completely spearheaded by groups, by social and public interest groups. And what they were looking for is they were looking for communists who had made their way into the United States, into positions of power. They were looking for them, right? And they ended up going on this massive witch hunt and calling out people and, you know, printing their names and doing all this shit to all these people that they had suspected to be communists. And then turns out a lot of them aren't communists. A lot of them definitely aren't communists. And so, like, where's the ramification there? Like, oh, you ruined all these people's lives for doing nothing on, like, this type of kangaroo court with public opinion, and nothing happens because it's like, oopsie, wrong. We got, you know, but it all works out because we caught a few communists. We caught a few, so everything's okay. Doesn't even matter that we fucked these people's lives over because we caught a couple communists in the process. That's not how it's supposed to work. You know, and there's a reason it doesn't work like that in the justice system. I mean, it sometimes does when the justice system becomes corrupt, and it's happened many times before. You know, a police force, you know, they need a suspect, they need, you know, a conviction for this brutal murder, so they just find something, they find somebody, and then they just, like, you know, kind of tamper with everything and push it in the direction of this guy getting convicted, even though nobody's sure that he did it. Nobody's at all certain. They couldn't, I mean, the burden of proof is not there, but the guy ends up getting convicted for it. You know, that's what false convictions are all about. They happen all the time. They happen constantly. People are always getting falsely convicted. They spend years in prison, and then they return to their case years later. Oh, turns out, yeah, we fucked this guy over. And you know what? The payouts for that are not what they should be. They're not. You know, it's really not. I mean, you're ruining somebody's life. Like, you're ruining their entire reputation. Even if, you clear them completely, you pardon them. Like, you think they're ever going to get a job again? A decent job? And you've just stolen years from them. Years that could have been spent, working on their careers, working on, starting a family, working on their dreams. And you've stolen that from under them and put them into a fucking system that a lot of them probably don't know how to live outside of that system. You live in prison for fucking 5 years. How are you going to be able to adapt? It's going to be hard. You might have just turned somebody that was not at all a criminal into one. And they don't give them enough money. Here's like, $500,000. Sorry about that. Oh, thanks. Gee, thanks. $500,000. That's going to sustain me for the rest of my life. That's enough of a financial compensation for what you've just done to me and my family. Fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. I don't know. There's a lot of problems with law enforcement, obviously, and there's tons of problems with the legal system, but I don't know how to fix any of them. I'm a dumb fuck, so I don't know how to fix any of them. I really don't. I just think they should be fixed. I'm kind of in the same camp as most people. It's like, oh man, look at all these crazy monumental problems that I have no idea how to even start to attack. But we all complain. It's like, why is nothing being done? What is supposed to be done? Do you know? Because I don't. I feel like I kind of educated on myself on the prison industrial complex, and I still have no idea where you'd even start. It's a nationwide problem that's kind of just been ingrained into our culture for so long. It's just, how do you even come out of that? It's going to take a lot of time, is what I'm saying. It's going to take a lot of time. I think that's including myself. I'm including myself in when I say people here, is that you can't really empathize with the people who are supposed to be solving these problems, either government officials or people with just the power and ability to do so. You can't empathize with them if it's not immediately solved. This problem needs to be fixed. We're working on it. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. It needs to be fixed like right now. People are being affected and hurt, and it needs to be fixed instantly. Like, well, it can't happen. It can't happen. Because a lot of these situations, the ramifications of what you would call fixing it instantly would be worse than if you took some time to do it. But people need things fast. They need things like just crazy fast. We're in such a fast time where everything has to be instantaneous. I think it was either millennials or Gen Z that they called the instant generation. I can't remember. But what's funny? Millennials and Gen Z people, we hate being called out. We hate being called out. You start this whole okay boomer thing, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of issues with people that are in the boomer generation. There's tons, and Gen X. There's tons of issues with people in these generations. But we got our problems. We definitely have tons of problems. And anytime there's ever an article written like, the people, like the kids in Gen Z, they're so attached to their phones, like they can't really function without their phones. You get tons of tweets being like, you know what? The headline should read that you boomers fucked up the economy, and now we got to accept some criticism. It's the only way to improve. You can't just think like everything is everybody else's fault. If you're in a group of people who are all like, patting you on the back all the time, then you're inclined to think that everything that's bad and wrong is everybody else's fault. Maybe we're somewhat to blame on some shit. We're somewhat to blame. I don't know. Maybe not to blame. To blame is kind of a harsh word. Maybe nobody's to blame. Maybe it was just, that's how culture moved. That's how shit happened. I'm talking specifically about like phone addiction, right? Yes, people in Gen Z and millennials are addicted to technology. That's a fact. It's just how it is. I don't think it's boomers' fault or people in Gen X. I don't think it's their fault. I don't think it's millennials' fault, and I don't think it's Gen Z's fault. It's nobody's fault. Just iPhones happened to come out. Computers, personal computers happened to be invented and improved upon, and we're in the middle of it. And they didn't realize when they were making all this stuff, people are going to be addicted to this because it does have that effect on your brain. It has that effect on your brain where you can't look away from it. The iPhones have that effect on you where that light, like that entrancing light, you just can't look away from it. Humans are just naturally designed to, like, our eyes are drawn to screens. That's why if you've ever been to a football game and there's just that big screen, the players are right fucking there, but you're watching a ton of it on the big screen because you just can't not do it. Your eyes just go up. They go up and look at it. It's how we are. So it's not anybody's fault that there's like this massive technology addiction, but and you know what? I won't even say that it's like there's a big point I see all the time on the internet. A lot of these things that I'm saying, people do this, people do that, it all comes from the angriest sides of the internet. So if you disagree with this shit, just know that it's coming from a place of ignorance. It's coming from a complete place of ignorance. So if you disagree, I get it. One of the big arguments that I've heard against baby boomers, outside of yes, baby boomers tend to be less friendly towards new ideas than the newer generation. But I think that's just old people. That's old people versus young people. If you've aged to a certain point, it's hard to accept new ideas. And my generation and millennials, we don't know that because we haven't gotten there yet. We don't know that that's how it is. You could, what if when we're all in our 70s, turns out that, transgender people don't exist. Turns out, like, it's been proven. I don't think that's real, but I'm just trying to go for an extreme example, like a crazy extreme, just something crazy like that. It turns out transgender people don't even exist. It was all just a conspiracy by these people, like by this big company in order to do this. Like, it becomes a proven fact. I don't see a lot of people accepting it, because it's just a value you've been ingrained to know is true. Because I'm sure if you're watching me saying this right now or listening to me saying this right now, you're like, well, that's impossible. Obviously, transgender people do exist. Yes, of course. But if it turned out they didn't, would you even believe it? Because you just believe it so hard. You believe in it so hard, so you couldn't believe otherwise. Religion's very similar. Religious people cannot be convinced of logic in certain situations. Like, well, obviously Noah's Ark couldn't have really happened because of all of these factors. All of these factors make that story make absolutely no sense. They can't buy that because they have faith. They have, like, undisputable evidence, and that's called faith. It's just a feeling in their gut that it's true. You can't shake that. And political things are the same. So, yes, boomers have a harder time accepting new age ideas. That's true. But I don't really blame them all that much. I think they're slower to accept it, but I think that if you fucking explain it well, they will. I've seen it happen. I've seen, like, older conservative people come around on ideas you wouldn't expect them to, because they've just been explained that idea enough. Not in a accusatory fashion. That's the problem. You can't be accusatory towards somebody because then they're not inclined to listen to your side. If you just come at them aggressive, they have no reason to listen to anything you have to say because it's like, well, this aggressive fuck, I'm not going to listen to them. They're obviously just accusing me of being a bad person. It's like white privilege. White privilege is the perfect example here. White privilege exists. It's pretty clear that white privilege exists, and it's just way more complicated than if you're white, your life is better. That's not what it means. It's not what it means. It's a totally different idea than that. But it's gotten boiled down to that to a certain level if you talk about it in groups of people that disagree with the concept entirely. Oh, well, I'm white and my life isn't any better because of it. Yes, but you don't experience institutionalized racism. You just don't. That's what it means. It's a privilege in that regard. That's what the term is supposed to mean. So if you just say to somebody that's older that's never heard of this concept before, or they lived in a civil rights era, and then they live now and they're thinking like, wow, shit, like racism's done. I'm thinking about a white person specifically. They're like, oh shit, wait, racism is just over. There's no way that anybody's racist anymore because, there's no segregation. People are treated fairly. They just don't see it in their everyday lives that there definitely still is racism. It's not something they experience. So if you come at them all accusatory, like, oh, you got this white privilege because you're, a white person, and they're going to be like, whoa, like, easy, buddy. Like, this is, I mean, everybody's equal. Obviously, everybody's equal, so, like, everything's fine. What are you even talking about? And then you amp it up. You amp it up to another level, like, oh, you couldn't even understand because you're white and you don't have the experience to know, blah, blah, blah. And even if your point makes valid sense, they're not going to be hearing any of it, and you're not doing anybody a service. You're not doing anybody a service at all. You're just being a dick, You're just being a dick. It's like if I went up to somebody and said, like a crazy fact about orca whales. And they're like, oh yeah, that's crazy. Like, I don't know anything about orca whales. And I start just like trashing them. I'm like, bro, you don't know anything about orca whales? You need to get your fucking orca whale knowledge up. Like it's like honestly irresponsible to not know about orca whales. Whoa, buddy. Now I'm going to go out of my way to not learn about orca whales. How about that? Fuck them. I hate them now. I hate whales. Every whale. I hope they all die. Because that's how human beings are. If somebody comes at us combative, we act combative right back. I think most people are like that. Most people have that just mindset, unfortunately. So the only way to convince somebody of a progressive idea is by, just being calm about it. And you have to accept that it's not always going to work. You have to accept that some people are going to just be like, no, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Okay, you don't buy it. Doesn't make it not real. Doesn't make it not real. And I'm okay, and I have to be okay with you not buying it, because me trying any harder to convince you at this point, when you've already been very clear that you're not buying what I'm selling, then I'm just a pushy salesman. Nobody likes a pushy salesman. And it makes your own movement look bad. It makes your own perspective look bitchy. When you act over the top irrationally about how much somebody needs to have this information and believe it immediately. If you act like that, then it makes it seem like a fucking cult of personality. I don't know. And also, how do you have so much confidence in all the things that you believe? I don't have that much confidence in most of the things I believe. I mean, most of my political ideas, I made it clear that I'm politically uninformed, so most of my political ideas, I have very little confidence in them. I could be totally wrong. I'm totally open to the fact that I could be completely wrong. Because I'm aware that I'm not a scholar at certain things. Like guns. I have a perspective on guns. Like, I'm not into guns. But I have like a kind of a deep perspective on gun control. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I haven't studied I didn't study. You know, I'm sure if I took the test on all this knowledge and it was, you know, multiple choice, I'm sure I can get a D, but I'm definitely not going to get an A. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. It just started raining outside, and I don't know if you can hear it. You know, this microphone's supposed to just capture what's in front of it, so you might not even hear it, but I have to go work tonight, and I have to go, like, drive. Like, I deliver pizzas, so I have to go drive. That's gonna suck dicks in the rain. I hate delivering pizzas in the rain. It's actually not that bad, delivering pies in the rain, because if you just, like, get really wet by the end of the night, you're delivering pizzas, you're wet and you're shivering, and then people are inclined to give you, like, $10 tips, because they're like, man, like, he's really working his ass off. It's like, no, I'm just driving. I'm also wet, but whatever. I've gotten wet before. No big deal. All right, that's enough for me. That's definitely enough for me. I promise, guys, next week, I fucking promise, I, like, genuinely am promising me to you right now, I'm not going to get this political. Because I said it at the top of the podcast. I said, like, all right, you know, I just wanted to, you know, elaborate on this idea of how I always get political, even though I say I'm not going to. But trust me, I'm not going to on this one. I even said that shit. And then I just lost control of the fucking vehicle. Hands off the wheel. Carrie Underwood, Jesus took the wheel and steered it right into controversy. That's what happened today. So I promise you, from my heart, that this won't happen next time. I'm gonna come prepared. I just gotta come prepared with something else to talk about. You know, because I can't just go off of, like, random bullshit in my head anymore if it's gonna be this divisive. I can't do that. And now I'm just, a lot of these points, I'm circling on the same shit over and over. So next week, I'm going to come with something to talk about completely irrelevant to politics. All right? Okay? Please believe me. Please believe me. Have a great day. Drink a big fucking 2-liter, maybe potentially, if you can find it, gallon jug of RC Cola. And sway for president.
And you may see me tonight with an illegal smile. It don't cost very much, but it lasts a long while. Won't you please tell the man I didn't kill anyone? No, I'm just trying